In his best days, Mikhail Botvinnik, the patriarch of the Soviet chess school, as he's titled, caused some sensation with some of his games in which he revealed the hidden force of the double pawns. Mainly there were games from the Zemish attack, from the Indo-Indian defense, but also some other games. For instance, there is a famous Queen E2, E3 when he accepts having double pawns on E3 and E4, just for the sake of controlling many central squares. This was regarded as some sort of innovative play, original strategy in those times, but little by little it became one of the normal method of plays, playing with double pawns for the sake of controlling, like a hedgehog, like a little hedgehog to control a lot of squares around them. Fischer had some games in which he had somehow symmetrical approach. When facing the double pawns, the opponent's double pawns, he more than once aimed to exchange one of them. Actually, one of the hidden defects of the double pawns is that they cannot defend each other. So if the first of them is, the most advanced, is attacked by another pawn, he cannot avoid the exchange, and he would have to give up the control over the squares he was guarding before. So let's have this game from the 1966 Olympiad. We have a position where White's piece placement is quite active and he has more space. Black has some pawn weaknesses. For instance, the c6 square is weak, but it's not easy to get there. And then the double f7 and f5 pawns, they are not so weak. They don't seem to be so weak. The bishops are active and there is no danger against the king. And yet Fischer found an astonishing move which helped him put these elements together. I mean, the relative weakness of the c6 square and the weakness of the hidden weakness of the black king side. He played g4. Nothing like trying to block the double pawns with a knight on f4 or, I don't know, win the pawns somehow. No, g4, inviting the exchange of the f5 pawn. The main purpose of this move is that it kind of ties up the e4 bishop to the defense of the f5 pawn. Because if knight d2, then the bishop would happily go back and black had little to fear. But after g4, the problem is the bishop cannot go away. Well, first of all, there is a pin along the e file. But even if the queen was well defended, let's say after rook e8, knight d2, bishop b7, I mean this structure really looks ugly for black. Now the double pawns are really weak. This is not a position to be happy about. So after g4, the game followed king h8, knight cd2, and now the only way to avoid material loss is f takes g4. But now the problem is that finally the way leading to the weak c6 square is open. Well, first of all, White threatens to win an exchange with the knight xf6. The a6 pawn is hanging, and if black plays rook a7, then okay, his coordination will be very poor after rook g1. At some point, White would probably play knight xf6 and bishop c6. Black would be completely paralyzed in this position. So what black did was c6, but okay, this is just losing a pawn, and well, for Fischer it was not such a difficult task to win this game. And now let's see an even better example of from a game against a much stronger opponent. This is one of the games, the last game of the candidates final in 1971. Petrosian had played quite well for a while. After 5 games, the score was level, but then somehow Fischer found the clue to how to break Petrosian defense and won 4 games in a row. When this game was played, Petrosian probably had admitted that he could not avoid being defeated, like Taimanov and Larsen. And still, he tried to, okay, his position is obviously worse. His pawns are very weak. But okay, he thought he could put up some resistance with Queen d6. Because, okay, it doesn't look that White would want to repair the black pawns with Queen takes d6. And if the Queen retreats, then Black, who knows, if the Queen goes away, then maybe some f5 would now or a little bit later would complicate the game a little bit. But to everybody's surprise, Fischer played Queen takes d6. It helps. It seems that it helps Black improving his structure after c takes d6, because now, of course, if Rook d6, then f3 followed by knight c5, this would be a strategic disaster for Black. But c takes d6, it may seem that Black is not doing so badly now. No, his pawns are compact. Maybe in the future he would play c5, but things are not so easy. Fischer had actually treated the position in a very creative way, strategically. The problem is that the seemingly active knight on e4 is now some sort of a problem. The knight is hanging, so the equalizing d takes c4 is not possible, and White threatens c takes d5. After this exchange, Black would be left with 2 really weak double pawns. Okay, they would control some squares, but the problem is that in case of exchanges, White would simply win by creating best pawn on the B or A file. So there followed knight f6 and rook c1. Rook c1, which renews the threat of taking on d5 when the c6 pawn would be hanging. And for instance, if rook c8, then this doesn't change anything. And if d takes c4 now, then rook takes c4, and the c6 pawn would be simply lost. So Petrosian defended with rook b8, but then f3, a nice move preventing knight e4, knight h5, rook c6. White not only has the better structure, but because of the tension in the center, on the d5 square, he managed to get the control of the c file. So knight f4, rook d2, and well, Petrosian defended for a while, but he could not save the game. White is too active, and he is practically, let's say, half a pawn up on the queen side.